Hey guys, what's going on here? It is Arc Waypoint. Welcome back. I don't know what I'm saying. I know it's been a while, but like they say, let's try this one last time. So, as you can see, we are in a game called Ark Survival Evolved. Uh, thank you. It is modded, and yeah, this is going to be, sorry, this is going to be a tutorial on how to get started in this mod. This is Arc Omega, and I am playing on the Chaos Gaming servers of Alguero. If you want to come join me, Steam, and yeah, just come hang out. So, yeah, and I guess this is the... Okay, guys, so in this part of the tutorial, I am going to uh, let you guys get to know pretty much all the basic information on Arc Omega. So in Arc Omega, there are tiers of dinos. You have basic, beta, alpha, prime, ultimate, omega, godlike, ancient, and endless. Those are the only tiers. Um, and of course, you can go through and read all of this. However, I'm just going to go through this. So each tier of dino has to have a variant. Now there are group variants, for example, all these over here, up to utility. You have cosmic, elemental, ethereal, guardian, lucky, mythical, nightmare, nature, rage, resource, summoner, unstable, and utility. And pretty much what each thing does is what it sounds like. Kind of. Cosmic summons black holes and rains down meteors. Elemental summons a ball or burst of a certain element, like fire, wind, water, earth, so on and so forth. Ethereal, um, Ethereal's a bit weird. It has spiritual, and each group has certain variants, but each variant does something different. And each group has main 6 variants and a 7th variant, which is far more difficult to find. So ethereal, you have pretty much the only thing you'll be using is spiritual, because spirituals have a lot of weight reduction, and disruptor. Spiritual and disruptor are the only 2 ethereal you're likely to use. Then let's move on to guardian. Within guardian, it's what it it's what it sounds like. It protects your dinos. Mainly, you'll be using this absorbent ability, and it generates a shield, kind of, that basically takes all the damage that your dinos would take, and the absorbent dino takes the damage instead. Lucky, let's skip this for now. Mythic, um, so pretty much with mythical, you're gonna want to do something that I haven't talked about yet, of course, because this is just the beginning. What you're gonna want to do is group god a lot of mythical dinos. And I'll get into group godding in a second. Nightmare. They are nighttime creatures, of course. However, during the day, they are paper. They have I think it's 1/4. Somewhere it states. Yeah, I think during the daytime they take uh what is the phrasing? They do 1/4 damage, and they have 1/4 health during the daytime. Nature, forces of nature, literally, it's what it says. It generates like a wave of something, or a tornado, or a small thunderstorm. The exception, I would say, is plague. Plague is not the 7th variant, even though it is interesting. So what it does is you use its ability, and it'll create a field of damage. And if anything within that field of damage dies, it generates a new field of damage. So on and so forth. Rage. Everything in Rage is good, including its 7th variant. Its 7th variant was changed recently, and this information right here is now out of date. However, it's still really good. Be wary of group godding Rage, and because you'll get uncontrollable, and you cannot ride uncontrollables unless you have a unique saddle that says otherwise. Resource. You kill them, you tame them, they generate resources. Generally, people tame them for their damage reduction, like Element here. It has a 90% damage reduction. And it also has an ability where it shoots off a shard when it takes damage, and anything hit by that shard bursting takes 100% damage. It'll get so it makes all damage go through damage reduction, with the exception of Element. So like all these other resource, if they had elemental weakness, all their damage reduction is 0. Summoner. It is the worst. Yeah, it is the worst, I guess, variant or set in all of Omega. Don't tame any of these. Unstable. They're okay. I mean, am I going to go hunt for an unstable? No. But they're okay. They're good early game. What they are is they're comboing with environment. So reactive, you put it in water, it generates a field of damage. Meltdown, you use its ability, you'll take damage, but you will deal more damage than you take. Volatile, field of damage. Self-destructive, when it dies, it does a field of damage. Explosive, it does a field of damage. If you're seeing a pattern here, it's because a lot of stuff in this mod, excluding a few things, is field of damage. So let's move on. Utility. This is good. Everything in here is good, except tracker and harvesting, because farming will automatically farm for you. Breeding makes hatching eggs shorter. Crafting, what does crafting do again? Oh yeah, it makes it to where you can basically craft in a small space. Taming, it does what it sounds. It knocks creatures out without dealing a lot of damage to them. Now, let's get into group godding, because I said I would get to that. But first, Lucky. Lucky is different in many ways. First off, it has everything. It has damage reduction from loot, treasure, cursed. Cursed is its 7th variant, and Paragon. And it has dodge chance from soul, essence, and miracle. What dodge is it'll dodge most of the time, pretty much. Another thing that has dodge is ghost variant. And what's interesting about the ghost variant in the nightmare variant groups is you can only tame them at night. All right. So now let's talk about group godding. So as you'll see here, this is the mods calculator. In this mod, there are multiple boss tiers, and each boss tier has its own variants and tiers. For example, you have beacon bosses, which have the basic through endless tier, and it has every single variant. Then you have don't fight these ever. Then you have gods, which gives you god souls, which if you remember in here, there's this thing called godlike. So basic through omega will spawn in the world naturally. Godlike, however, you have to feed a variant a god soul, and it'll become godlike. Then what you do before you make it ancient tier is you fight a group god. And a group god, as you can see, is only the main groups. So let's say mythical. You would have to deal 4 billion damage, while remembering that mythical has this funny little thing called fairy. Now what fairy does is it's basically a health potion along with Phoenix. Phoenix and fairy, horrible combination, well, to fight against. And then you use this group god soul, it'll give your variant dino the abilities of each variant in the group. For example, let's grab Ancient Mythical Leechicarus. This is a custom-made hybrid dino from within the mod. And I'll get to what these X's and I's are later. As you can see, it is mythical, which means I fed it the group god soul. And now it has fairy, pygmy, phoenix, gorgon. What was the last two? Not druid. Druid's the 7th variant. I'm dumb. Colossus and Siren. It has all their abilities, all their buffs. And yeah, that's what group godding does. Now to make stuff ancient tier, what you're gonna want to do is fight. One moment. Because apparently I need to drink water every now and again. So, to make stuff ancient tier, you will not only have to fight the group god, By the way, group gods, I highly suggest you fight at basic tier. Nothing above it. Sorry. You will have to fight your group god again, and you'll have to fight its counterpart. For example, the counterpart to mythical is summoner, the worst variant ever. And once you kill both, you'll have to fight their unique group god, which for mythical and summoner is anima. Anima sucks to fight, but I would say it is the easiest fight, but most time consuming. Then you feed this unique group god soul to your group, either godlike or group godded dino, and it'll make it ancient tier. An endless tier, I have never done this, and this is something else, my bad. I have never gotten to ancient tier myself. However, what you must do is fight what is called the god of protection or god of destruction. And that's a whole nother can of worms. So let's see, let's go in and see how we summon these bosses. So to do that, first off, you're going to need to make a few things. You're going to need to make a Omega beacon, if you can spell right. This thing right here, the Omega beacon. This will summon bosses early game, sorry. And then after you have fought a couple of bosses, got some boss essence, you're gonna want to make a god egg. This will summon your first few gods. Once you fight your first few gods, go ahead and make the Omega altar, which is how you fight group gods and unique group gods. Once you do that a little bit, go ahead and make yourself the gauntlet beacon, which will basically summon bosses and gods en masse. However, to do the gods, you have to make this soul grinder and craft the god module, which is little expensive. And then with all that, you can go wherever in the world far from your base, because I made that mistake once already this month, and it's only the second day, and I basically had to rebuild my entire base because gods and group gods and bosses will destroy your base. Ooh, what do we have here? Laura, or roll rat. Yep. So, by the way, this shield right here is temporary. These red ones here are the gauntlet beacons. You can summon gods using the god module and multiple bosses at one time. This is the Omega altar. It only has 6 slots because you'll never need more than 6. And then over here you have your Omega beacon. I still have these because if you want to summon using Omega souls to get specific variants, you have to do it through the Omega beacon. And you can only summon one at a time. Now, for progression, I am going to leave it off here because this has been like a 15-20 minute video already. So I'll leave it here. And in episode 2, I will go over a few more things, like how does egg progression work? How does early game boss fights work? And what are good early game tames? The next video will basically be all about early game. This video was just about, letting you know the tiers, the variants, not going too deep on what each one does. And yeah, here's a little sneak peek of a boss that you can tame. That's all. It's been fun. See you next time.